South Sudan. Good morning, followers of Canal and members of FPD Institute. We are live today and happy Independent Day. Our program is delayed a bit as we were trying to get all the rights material that we need for today. And therefore, it is a privilege to bring to you this morning. We are not going to be long. We know it is an Independent Day in South Sudan. So welcome and tune into our program as we come live every Saturday. We know today is the Independent Day for the nation of South Sudan. It is the day in which our martyrs, our fathers, mothers, and everyone that asked sacrifice for the Republic of South Sudan had always wished to have. History will record that since 3000 BC, South Sudan, and Sudan in particular, has been at war with itself. There has been intermittent quietness and tranquility in between, but the region has always been very unstable. It has all been about the freedom and the liberties of the people. And as we get ready with these programs, I want you to tune in and set yourself up as we are going to bring very quick and short, nice message as your weekend digest. Please listen. Alright, let's get into it, friends. Today is the Independent Day of the Republic of South Sudan. Since 3000 BC, history recorded that South Sudan has been at war with itself. It has never enjoyed peace and tranquility. And before it became South Sudan, it was the Republic of the Sudan. That territory has been recorded in all historical textbooks, in religious books, and any other historical record, so that there has always been a scrambled and a struggle for people who would want to occupy the land. And the native and the host nations that occupied the land has always fought back. People think that the war started in 1983 on the 16th of May, but many South Sudanese are aware of the events of 1955 in the month of July. Those events set up the struggle, something that evolved and culminates into the Nyanya movement, and later on the SPLM, SPLA, under the leadership of late Dr. John Garang, the martyr, the person who gave everything with his friends. And among some of the things which they fought for, one of the things among the top 3 priorities was the preservation of the Sud wetlands, the Jonglei Canal. As we speak, the Republic of South Sudan has a population of about 12 million people, depending on where you find your data. 60% of that population is at risk of famine. 2 million are in displaced camp. 2.5 million are in refugee camp in the neighboring countries. It has a huge number of the diaspora. It is a nation that is still bleeding. But despite the desperations, there is still hope. And South Sudan is independent as we speak. South Sudan has its own flag. As you can see, the martyrs have given everything for the flag of South Sudan to be hoisted and stand tall among other 192 members of the United Nations. This makes South Sudan a nation to be proud of, a land that is blessed with abundance of natural resources. We say it here at FED Institute and at Kayamba FM, South Sudan is the heart of the Nile, as Uganda claimed to be the south. We don't know what the rest say they are to the Nile. We are blessed with abundance of the wildlife, a fertile land that is 100% arable. Anything could be cultivated and grow. As we speak, there is a lot of issues that are converging at this particular point in time. We salute those who stand up for the interests of the nations. We salute those who believe, despite the situation, South Sudan integrity has to be preserved. Tranquility has to prevail. Peace must reign. It is one of the things that we wish and we push for here at FED Institutes. That's what we support. We believed South Sudan will one day realize its potentials. They are there, but they are not being exploited. South Sudan will enjoy peace. It will enjoy its natural resources. In the last few weeks, we have been running some shows on why we should preserve the Sud wetland. Why it is critical. We believe it is an existential threat, and is one of the things which South Sudanese have all stood up together and unite. It is one of the things that led to the SPLM taking up arms. The youth at that point in time stood and demonstrated. Yesterday we have seen a consultation forums at the University of Juba. We are aware the government of the Republic of South Sudan has issued a statement calling for the public participations, which will start from the 10th and end in 2-3 days. We believed anything that includes the public to participate is always great to have. But what we stand for here at the FE Institute, we believe that anything has to be factual. Sud is bigger than the politics of the day. Neither should it be addressed using slogans. but it has to be led through a proper consultation where science take the central stage, where socio-economic of the people issues are considered. It is a multidisciplinary issue. It is something that cannot be window dressed. Therefore, we are here to see the terms of the consultations and what could be achieved in 2-3 days. River systems and great wetland like the Sud normally takes decades to be studied. It usually takes tens and tens of years. It is not something that we can easily address. But we are urging the public of South Sudan and the strugglers, despite how you have been described, I think standing up for a good cause is always great for the nation. Therefore, folks, happy Independence Day. The 9th of July is the day which your fathers, your brothers, your mothers, your sisters, you yourself sacrificed for. When it happened 11 years ago, there was a jubilations and happiness in the street of Juba and across the world. Even we in the diaspora, we voted. We cast our own vote for the referendum. And therefore anyone dismissing us is deluded and is making a terrible mistake. The diaspora campaign and they led a very effective foreign policy for the Republic of South Sudan. The reason South Sudan referendum and independent agenda was well preserved and protected was not only due to the people on the ground, but the effective campaign which in the foreign nation by the South Sudanese patriotic nationals who lived in the US, in Australia, among the nations of the European Unions, in New Zealand, and within the African continent. We all campaign to have a nation, an independent state called South Sudan. We voted in 2010 elections. We cast our vote during the referendums. We also celebrated with our brothers. Therefore, we believe that we should all be very hopeful, act collectively, and support one another. Please share the video as we bring to you some of the headline and what is happening today. We will not continue with our normal discussion today, but I was here to say happy Independence Days from Kayamba FM, from FED Institute, and from Dubico Consulting. Happy Independence Day, my fellow South Sudanese. Enjoy the 9th of July, the month which is very critical to us. It is also the month of our martyrs. And it's the same, the month of the independence. July and August have always been very troublesome month for the Republic of South Sudan. And of course, if you look back a couple of months, if you step back by 2-3 months, you realize Sudan and South Sudan has always had issues from the month of May all the way to August. Therefore, it is the month where we have to ask for God's intervention and prayers. It is the month where we gain the independence. It is the same month where we lost our founding father of the nation, Dr. John Grant. And it is the same month at which the Anyanya One started in 1955. And all the other conflict in betweens have always started around July, August, and some time in May and June, like 1983. So it's a critical movement. And therefore, we ask everyone to reflect and stand up for critical and topical issues that may change the course of the nations. We say no to dredging of our rivers. We say no to the resumption of Jonglei Canal. Our reason and thinking is simple. We have to see proper evidence and studies that support such movement. I will recap this later by bringing evidence that suit was more than the oil. If the Republic of South Sudan is really keen in developing natural resources, there has to be something bigger than the normal oil productions. We have over 12 million people, and about half of the population, 6 million, live along the Nile, or at least within the periphery of the Nile. The rest of the nation received rain from there. And therefore, anyone tampering with it, with the Nile and the suit, is tampering with the life of our people. We are not just saying this here, but we will be expressing our interest to participate in all the public consultation processes. As an institute, as FED institutes, it is our obligation as citizens. It is the reason we had to fight to have independent South Sudan, for the liberty of our people, for the economic security, and for the protection of life and property. It is the reason why a nation has to have a central functioning state. The government has the responsibility to listen to its people. If it indeed is a government of the people, by the people and for the people, then our voices matters. As I said, and I reiterate, the diaspora is very critical blocks. Each year, the South Sudanese in Australia transmit over 300 million to South Sudan. That is about 25% of the GDP of the nation. It is the second earner of hard currency after the oil revenue. Therefore, when we speak and when we ask, we have to be involved in processes that will build our nation. We are a channel, an institute, a forum that try to educate the publics. We don't talk subjectively, but we are education forums where we speak to our people and where we analyze the issues. So friends, I'll come back shortly, but enjoy and reflect as you watch and stare at this flag of the Republic of South Sudan. What does that mean to you? At the background are the two men on a canoe, just wading their way down the Nile within the Baral Jebel regions, and a photo was taken early in the morning. The beauty and the radiation of the sunlight tell you about the liveliness and the meaning and the connection of the people to the land and to the river system. South Sudan is a blessed nation. We have abundance of natural resources. I said before, and I will repeat again, there is nothing as beautiful as our suit. There is nothing as great as a wetland that sustained, as reported by one of the article, and I will share, by New York Times, that 1.2 million antelopes, 1.2 million antelopes each year make their journey to the swamps, to the suits. It is bigger than the population at Serengeti, bigger than the population at Okavango. That is what independent of South Sudan mean. Independent South Sudan cannot flourish without its natural resources. Independent South Sudan will do well when things like Sud wetland is preserved. Independent South Sudan will do well when the population is looked after. Independent South Sudan will do well when things like Jonglei Canal are studied properly, but not being put through by the foreign entity. That is the independent South Sudan. An independent South Sudan where the processes are led by the South Sudanese themselves, not enforced on them. That is the independent South Sudan. We believe that whatever discussion is going on now is for the benefit and greatness of the nation presently and the future generations. Why do we say so? We have demonstrated in the past that the Sud wetland alone has tangible economic value apart from intangible intrinsic value that we cannot value. We cannot put numbers on everything, but there are a few things that we can put numbers on. In the current state, Sud could generate $2.6 billion a year. Oil will dry up in the next few years. It will not actually dry up, but the world is moving toward renewable energies. As the world moves away from fossil fuels, as the world transitions into clean energy, the source of fresh water becomes very critical. Things like Sud become a national asset. As we speak, you could see that the oil prices have increased. Does it mean the world has run out of oil? No. Does it mean it is Ukraine war? No. The agenda is simple. Because companies are shifting away from hydrocarbons energy, electric vehicles are being promoted. Lithium minerals are of high demands. So these are some of the natural resources which South Sudan should look at. It means that there is survivals and the economic activities of South Sudan in the future will depend on its natural resources that are not hydrocarbon dependent. As we speak, the country depends 98% of its revenue on the oil. Now, I'm not here to talk about the oil, but I'm here to talk about the independence of the Republic of South Sudan. If you cannot manage your own natural resources, it means you are not truly independent. When the Anyanya I took arm in 1955 into Reed on the 18th of July, on that fateful morning, the South Sudanese who took up arms were agitating for inclusiveness and to have a say in the affairs of the nations. When they took up arms on that fateful morning of 18th of July 1955, it is the agitation for inclusiveness. When Khartoum started interfering in the running of the semi-independent South Sudan, firing government after government between in early 1980s, it caused a bit of unhappiness, dissatisfaction, and mistrust. And our people took up arms in 1983 in the town of Bor at Malwali, Chad, on the 16th May 1983. And that war went on for 22 years. It is reported that 2.5 million lives have been lost. I believe the number is higher than that. Because they are counting the soldiers and the adults. Those ones who are dying of famines in the in the interior part of the South Sudan, no one counted them. People have sacrificed a lot. If 2.5 million lives have been lost, do you know how many millions head of cows have been lost? How many tons of agricultural produce that were supposed to have been produced have been deferred? What is the economic cost of the war? How many people who else has been impacted. It is in their million. The cause was huge, but it was for a good cause. And therefore, when people find a good cause, they will stand up for it. And I salute those who stand up for a great cause. FPD Institute stand in solidarity with our fellow South Sudanese who are standing up for great cause, for the suit. As I said, directly, if you look at the numbers, and if the government listen to the voices of reasoning, logical voices, objective analysis, we have estimated that currently as we speak, the Sud region and the population which live around it generate an economic activity worth about $2.4 billion. We are talking in terms of economic value, GDP. That is an economic activity. It's not an accounting number, but it is an economic activity, the value of it. The household along the Nile each year have generated, each year we are talking now, including fisheries, and this year we expect the number to increase, because if you have seen the level of fishing going on in the Sud regions, it is enormous. But based on the last few years, the economic activities from the Sud regions, from the household, it is around $1.8 billion. Now, if we allow universities like University of Juba and John Garang, and if they are promoted to do research, from the research of the Nile itself, the scientific and educational research will generate 12 million per annum. The water purifications was around $9 million. These are the economic activities that are occurring within the Sud. The wildlife refuge will generate 66 million per annum. Why do I say so? Because we have a lot of birds species that are found in the Sud wetland to be the sanctuary. 1.8 million of gazelles move there every year. They migrate to the Suds. Therefore, folks, we have a good cause to stand up for. We are asking our government to stand by people, support and stand with voices of reasoning, and we have to have a process that is a South Sudanese-led study, not the one controlled by the foreign entity. That is what we are standing for. That's what we promote. Okay, so today is an independent day, and I'm waiting for Abrams, Jonglei or my co-host, to join shortly. But as we wait for Abrams, I just want to repeat, friends, the reasons we have been campaigning and creating an awareness about the importance of doing a proper studies on the Sud is the fact that environmental disasters are irreversible. When you have done a damage, you cannot reverse it. That is the reason. And that's what we want everyone to hear. If you have done an environmental blunder, you can never reverse it. We have seen some responses, very funny responses, from people whom we expect, from a couple of our leaders. First of all, the river system that has no vegetation can never generate anything meaningful to its habitats. That's why the river system, when it gone to the north in the desert, it does not contribute anything meaningful to the area. It's just a channel flowing. It is the presence of the aquatic plant. It is the presence of all the reefs along the Nile. The swampy area is what gives life. And that what makes it more livable. That's why it becomes an habitat for the animal. One thing which we need to know, and what we are informing South Sudanese, you need to know how your rains, where the rains come from. Your rains come from the suit. It's something we cannot reiterate more than that. And that's why the SPLM fought for it. It's the reason we had wanted the independent. And because it is an independent day, I thought I should connect this. Number 3 on the top of the SPLM agendas was to stop Jonglei Canal. That was number 3. That is one of the things which they fought for. And therefore, anyone that is bringing back Jonglei Canal without the proper studies is trying to say that the SPLM war was not justified. That's what it means. You cannot take people to war and die in vain and try to bring back what people died for. That is absolutely a betrayal of the public trust. Anyone bringing back Jonglei Canal, anyone running the suit, is actually saying that our martyrs have died for nothing. If we really need to dig canals, it has to be done in a way that we have studied. FED Institute will have its position in the next few weeks. We'll not stay here long because we'll let you go and enjoy your day. But remember this. As you are here, your rains come from the suit. As you can see my pointer there, you see along the equator, it is greener. Here, the Nile goes up and does not add anything meaningful. Why? Because there is no swamp. That is not livable. It's not an habitat. It is along the equator here that you see a greener pastures. And as you go southward towards South Africa, it becomes more of an island. Okay? And therefore, it attracts rain as well. It's a high relief. When this warm current monsoon wind intercept the rising moisture from the suit, it condenses. It's called condensations in science. And that's what brings rains. So every South Sudanese, whether you live along the Nile or not, it is a threat to your livelihood. Finally, I am appealing to the body that is leading the consultative process that is starting tomorrow, that it has to be inclusive, but it has to be more objective. It has to be something more scientific. My concern, the initiative is good, but I don't think anything meaningful, anything scientific could be done in 2-3 days. There is no denial that suit is a great asset to South Sudan. There is no debate about it. There is a consensus among the South Sudanese that draining Sud is an essential threat. There will be no South Sudan without Sud. Therefore, the public participation is very critical. In 2 days, I don't think the public of South Sudan, which are in town outside Juba, will have their say. South Sudan in the diaspora, I don't think will have their say. The term of reference, the objective of what need to be achieved in 2 days, 3 days, will require the body of Konyakwe Naam to think about that critically. As a student of physical science, an engineer and a scientist myself, we have to be more objective. Our nation has to be more objective. Public consultation is great. We support the idea. But it has to be more objective. Nothing tangible could be done in 2 days. The issues of the Sudan and Jonglei Canal should be taken away from politics. The issue has been more political. The reason South Sudanese have opposed it for many years is because it has always been very political. So even the consultation process would have to be more scientific than political. Otherwise, it will not address the concern of the citizen. The citizens' concerns are legitimate. They are more factual. They are more scientific. And they stand for the greater cause. Therefore, I will encourage you, friends and folks, to be more involving. And we invite you to join FPD Institute in the future. I will stop at this point and then look at what is being said about South Sudan in the media. Because we also monitor and see what the media is saying. Now, all the regional countries are scrambling for South Sudan cargo. That's what is being said. Last week, we have looked at the move to diversify the port of imports. But what is critical here is this Independent Day message, which has been published. What the UN is saying about the Independent Day. Here is their Independent Day message. The United Nations in South Sudan have issued a statement and talking about wars and peace and things like that. But we know there is stand in South Sudan. They have never enjoyed a good relationship with any country they involved in. So that is one of the things. The role of Vietnamese peacekeepers in South Sudan. It was reported by the voice of Vietnam. The radio in Vietnam was talking about South Sudan as well. They are raising their stakes that they have contributed to South Sudan. So this was a radio in Vietnam yesterday talking about South Sudan. So as I said, we pulled the data all over the world. And this one was reported by Upper Blocks. I don't know where they are based. We'll check. Yes, there was a talk about Rwanda and the asylum seekers. And therefore, there was also hope about South Sudan finding peace in 11 years of its independence. This was reported by the Conversations. The All Africa They were discussing security in Khartoum. Mr. Tutke went to Khartoum. This was reported on the 7th to discuss South Sudan peace and the regional security. Is South Sudan invoiced in Khartoum to discuss regional security? Regional security between Sudan and South Sudan and the region. I think there is more to that than you think. So this was reported yesterday. A World Food Program has been given $1.3 million for humanitarian aid in South Sudan. To be exact, is $1.2 million. And Pope want to bring hope to South Sudan. Let's see. And then there has been training in Mogui. They said protecting civilian is their main goal. That's what they said. So the United Nations peacekeeping mission in South Sudan is leading training to bring peace. In which way? We are yet to find out. So the Lieutenant General Sumaran appointed the commander of UN peacekeeping peace in South Sudan. So this is the new guy who was appointed by Antonio Guterres. He's an Indian general. So this guy is going to lead UNIMIS. So that is, as we talk about the Independent Day in South Sudan today, you could see the suffering and hopelessness of the people. You could see the refugee group is looking ahead to bring a bit of hope and relief. And then there's more about Ukraine. So that is about South Sudan in the media. There's nothing much positive there. It's all about the hopelessness in our nation. That's what the media is talking. It's all about the UN. It's all about providing food aid. When our land is 100% arable, a land that anything can grow. As we speak, the fishery business is booming in the Upper Nile regions. Tons and tons of dry fish is being shifted to Uganda. But the South Sudanese are dying of hunger. We have seen some few short videos and evidence that even the foreigners are fishing, and particularly the Ugandans are fishing within the Upper Nile region. There is abundance of fish. If there were peace and freedoms of movement, because it's constrained by lack of security, then people will feel and enjoy their independence. The sense of independence, why it should always be celebrated. It will remind you of where you belong, and it will renew the patriotism of the people. The patriotic people of South Sudan fought for it, and it's also always a time to reflect. After 11 years of independence, I think the last thing that South Sudanese will give away is their water. They have given away everything, but they have given their life to protect the Southwestland as one of the agendas of the SPLM. I don't think it is something they will easily give away. That is what I would like to remind our listeners and our followers, that we will continue to engage positively, bringing in educational material in the agenda. We will be clarifying our position on this. And it is very clear, unless there is a proper scientific study led by the South Sudanese themselves, because South Sudanese have the capacity, the expertise, and the experience to do so. Many of us here in the foreign nations train and teach other foreigners, including our own brothers in our host nations here. But when we go back to our nation, there is that inferiority that anything come outside is better, which is wrong. The people which we coach and mentor and train here are the people whom South Sudan go and picked up and think that they will lead their processes. That is wrong. We should trust in ourselves because we understand our issues better. In FED Institute, we talk about having a global experience, but having a local understanding. And if you combine the two, then you will have a better way of dealing with the issues. Therefore, I urge everyone to work towards peace and stability, preserve the Sud, preserve our water, all the wetland areas, and no to Jonglei Canal unless there is a proper scientific study led by the South Sudanese. An inclusive process, because the Sud, wetland and Jonglei Canal does not belong to the few elites in the series. It belongs to the Republic of South Sudan. It is the existential threats. The very existence, the foundation of the nation are being shaken. And this is something that every South Sudanese must be aware of. If you damage it one and for all, it will not be reversed. Our estimation, and we will include this in our paper, if the Sud wetland is drained, then it become muddy within the first 3 years. There will be no water. It will turn into a sea of mud. And within the 10 years, it become a dry land where people can pass across to the other side. And within 20 to 30 years, it become a desert. It will happen in our lifetime. It will dry up. There will be no green pastures for all the cattle keepers. People will be scrambling and fighting for the green pastures in the peripheral end of the nation. And that become a huge conflict. That's what you see there. That map there is showing what will happen. Within the first 3 years, okay, the Sud become muddy. Within 7 to 10 years, it will dry up and will shrink. Within 20 to 40 years, it become a desert. The canal will just be passing within the desert ground. And South Sudan will not be very different from this area you see here. This green will turn into that. And you see here, the Nile is still going, but it's a desert. That's what will happen. That's what will happen. So if we are truly independent, we have to up an independent management of our natural resources. If we are truly independent, then we have to have independent management of our natural resources. Unless we are not independent, that's the only way our resources will be managed or decisions are made by foreigners. But I believe we are independent. We have a government in place, and we here to support our government to do the right things. So let me pick up this call. Yes, Abraham.
Yes, Dr. Rajak.
Yep.
Good afternoon or good morning in your area.
It's good morning, and we are live. I've been speaking about the independent South Sudan, and we wish everyone Independent Day. And one of the things we said, if we are truly independent, we have to up an independent management of our natural resources. And you were one of the liberators, Abraham, and also co-host. What is your message for the South Sudanese during the Independent Day today?
Thank you, Dr. Rajak, for having me, and I could say also good morning, good afternoon, good evening to every South Sudanese wherever they live around the world. And the message you mentioned is very, very clear and very loud. What we can say today is Happy Independence Day. And
absolutely.
And the more important thing that you mentioned is independent means being independent in managing your own resources.
Yep.
Being independent, being mindfully independent. So we went to war to liberate the South.
Yep.
Though we were saying it is liberation of the Sudan as a whole
Yep.
for all marginalized people of the south of the Sudan.
Correct.
Though Blue Nile is left out, Abyei is left out,
Mm-hmm.
Kordofan is left out, Darfur is left out.
Yep.
They were all, and Bija as well, because they were part of marginalized people of the Sudan.
So they should have been part, like when we had the referendums in 2011
2011,
in January. So they should have also had their their referendum as well.
referendum as well, yeah.
Okay.
As they were included in the in proposal that was discussing the referendum all over the area that were identified as Kordofan, Abyei, Blue Nile.
Yep.
So yeah, so they supposed to be holding their own referendum as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So here we as South Sudanese, we went to the war to liberate ourselves. And now, as we mentioned, our mind, our resources are not yet independent. We are still being dictated as we were in the bush.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we used to say, "Duk krenek, lode kasar,
Mm-hmm.
pitani fi magden."
Okay.
That's what now our leaders are saying.
Okay.
Talking about the colonial system that they used to dredging the River Nile and all that without any kind of data showing the successful of that dredging. How many people used to depend on the River Nile by then, and how many today?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So happy Independence Day, and you have to think about how to make your country to be fully independent, using your local access to give you yesterday, so that you design tomorrow.
Absolutely. So we have to be the masters who design the future of our nation, not the foreigners that are dictating things for us. Dear listeners, with you is Abraham, who is on the line, and I'm the host with him. We co-host this program. Abraham picture is there, you can see him. So he's Abraham Jonglei and is a member of the FED Institute. Abraham is also a liberator who took up arm and he went to the bush like his colleagues. Though he was very young, he went there at the age where many of today's youth could not think of going to war. But he left school, though he came back and resumed afterward, after having participated, sacrificed, and sustaining injuries as well. So you are a veteran as well. So welcome, continue, Abraham. I just want to remind the viewers, you are not just speaking as a cyber person sitting somewhere in the comfort of your room. You have also participated and sacrificed as well, like your colleague in the nation. So continue.
Oh yeah. But my message today to the people of South Sudan, the Karajak, as you mentioned, is that change comes through few individuals who can penetrate the hard point. If you got something or the blockage, when you want to open it, you can't open a thing using a huge amount of power, but use a little amount of power, let it penetrate, and when it went inside, make it boom. It will open it for everybody to understand. So,
sure.
The independence of South Sudan, we went to the bush in 1983, and I was in primary school by then, because I went to school after age of 14.
Okay.
So that's the time that I went to school, and we started, thinking about what is education itself. Education was not something that meant to everybody, because we used to say, like, those who go to school are those who have no means of living. And in the
So there was a bit of a stigma and a wrong connotation toward the education, is it?
Yeah, that was it. Because the main thing that we used to take as the mean of living is our cattle.
Yep.
If you have an active boy, you have to think about who will be looking after your cattle if you let this boy go.
Yep.
So it was hard for some of us to go to school. And my uncle used to tell me, your younger brother is much better because he has not that capability of looking after cattle. So he is better to go to school so that he can be able to look after himself later. But my older brother was so insisting, because we used to love ourselves very much. It's like never other.
Okay.
So he said that I don't need to see you sitting there with different clothes. I need you to be with me. We need to grow up together like this. We will never be separated. But because of being, fatherless, because we lost our father in
at a very young age, is it?
68.
Oh, it's 1958. That was, yeah.
68, when, the same year when Deng Nial was assassinated.
Oh, so Deng Nial was assassinated the same year. Yep, it was 1958.
Yeah.
Yep.
In 1968. Yeah.
68, sorry, I thought it was 67, but 68, yep.
Yeah, it's 68. So, that was the thing, but my brother insisted until I reached age of 18. 14. And then it tricked my my mom and my uncle one time. That was the time that I ended up in school. That's a long story. So we used to think, okay, why there are no many graduates in the South? So that was the main thing dominated our mind by then. We used to debate. So we see only few graduates, and they were not making any impact. So our talk on term of education was that we have to thank our Anyanyawans, leaders for making the school open for everybody.
Yep.
Because they were carrying the torch.
Yep.
And they switch it on to everybody so that we can see. So, like the time afterwards, when we think about all these kind of things that were happening, nobody going to higher education, no universities in the South, no enough secondary schools, so we say, okay, I think something must be wrong. So that was the time that we started to educate ourselves, and and getting ourselves into politics. Though we were very young, we were in.
So you were already participating in the matters of national discourse.
Debate, yeah.
Yep.
So yeah. So the independence of South Sudan now make us very, very happy. Something that we started.
Yep.
When we were teenagers. Materialized. And has manifested what we used to talk about. Now we have many or few universities, though they are not enough.
Yep.
They will be in near future. And now we have numerous secondary schools, private schools, government schools,
yep,
and charity schools as well. So now, country is now getting up from being on knees to be standing.
Yep.
And as we are standing, we have to work very hard so that we can walk.
Yep. I agree.
We took up from the knees to stand. Now we are standing, but we have to work to walk.
So okay, so we have to work to walk. So I think that's a good statement, Abraham. Because look, you mentioned currently we have the education, the literacy rates among the South Sudanese have gone up substantially. Okay, so it is undeniable fact. It is how that nation, human resources is being channeled to build the nation is the question. That's what matters. Because the issue South Sudan faces at the moment is not the lack of knowledge, neither is it the lack of experience. And
that's right.
And this myths with the neighboring countries, and this is what the neighboring countries like Kenya and Uganda, people around now, they think that South Sudanese are not educated. South Sudanese are not people who are experienced or are not professional. It is a wrong myth. It is wrong because South Sudanese are highly educated. They are the people who have the experience. There was a time I went to Juba, and there was this Kenyan, and he was doing consultancy work for the government of South Sudan. This is a guy who he said he was a graduate somewhere from Indonesia. He went and did his masters, but he has never practiced because Kenya will never allow it best. The top brain in Kenya, they will never be allowed to go and practice in South Sudan. They will be working in Kenya to build Kenya. That is what is happening in Uganda. So we take the I will not call them the dwarf, the mediocrity, the mediocres. But then we rejected our best brain to go and take the mediocres, and then they will design things that never work for us.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because they don't have what we call the environmental experience, or understanding of the surrounding.
Yeah.
And the nature. Because when you design things, Dr. Jack, you need to design it in a connection with the environment and the cycle of the environment. Because something that they may think will work in
Kenya may not work in South Sudan.
It may not work because we have the various seasons that produce different kind of wind and environment all together.
Yep.
So if you bring somebody during winter,
yep,
how will he know that the coming season will not be the same? Will not, the program that he is working on will not be working in just let me bring it into the in condition of road work.
Yep.
Or road building. Okay, construction of the road now in South Sudan. After May, construction for the road, transport would be very hard.
Yep.
So if you want to do things, you have to design it, and as soon as November kick in, you have to start construction. You have to work very hard day and night.
Yep.
So that you beat that season.
Yeah.
So, but if it is a foreigner, how will he know that that season, the coming season, like 6-month season, will never work?
Yep.
But they will include it in their contract, and they will be receiving their own money while they are not doing any work.
Yeah, because they are not patriotic to the nation because it is not their country. I think you are right,
No.
and this is where your point before you were talking. We need to be independent in mind as well, where we accept ourselves and know that we can do it. That is the Southerners can do it. They can build the nation. We can help our government. We can stand and give them that support. So if you are someone who have a skill and you have experience, it is also your duty to be independent in mind. Get rid of this inferiority complex where people underrate themselves, like they fail before they start. That is the point. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah, another point that I just need to mention, Dr. Ajaki, that is the point that you touched on before.
Yep.
The manpower. manpower is more renewable resource.
Yep.
If you don't build that resource,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't equip that resource, it will never work for you.
Definitely.
So my message to South Sudanese today, to add to what I have just mentioned earlier, is that we need to think how to build our resources, human resource in particular. You know, elimination, it is a killing of the nation.
Mm-hmm.
Because elimination method is now being practiced. And it would have, you know, it was the method used by our colonial masters so that they can eliminate the good mind, so that they will remain with useless mind, that they will be pushing them, go this, go left, go right, whether they are going to fall in a jeep or not, it is not their business. So we the South Sudanese as independent nation now should think about our mind power.
Absolutely.
Because mind power is the one, you know, like engineers. If we have engineers who can design things, and we have the good mind that will know how to utilize that, you know, that design and make it work for us. So we need to avoid elimination of the good mind.
Absolutely.
Let's initiate what we call a dialogue.
Yep.
If I don't like what you are saying to me, Dr. Ajak, it would be, how can we make it work?
Yep. Yeah, it's the question of how. Yeah, it's the question of being collectively contributing to make things work rather than pulling it apart. I think that is a good contribution, and that is what independent South Sudan mean. We all push together. The Kenyan had that is slogan of Arambe, which was instituted by their founding father Mudei Jumbo Kenyatta. And Arambe was pushing together. That was the concept of Arambe. They brought it together, that let's push together. That was the concept. The core of it was putting our hand together, let's push it together. That was Arambe. And then Mudei Moi add in the word Nyayo, the footstep. So if the former father was pushing it together, we will follow the footstep of pushing together. So every nation has its own slogan that united it.
Yeah.
I don't know what will bring South Sudanese together more than, but the way I've looked at the Sud and the river, it become a symbol of unity. Apart from a wonderful, well-performing basketball team, which I'm not a great follower of basketball, but yeah, of sport. Though I've involved in the sport in the past, like especially the soccer team in Melbourne, I was part of the people helping the young people starting their clubs in Melbourne a few years back. It was in the newspaper. But anyway, the basketball and the Sud and the river unite us. And you could see the green in it. And dear viewers, we are having the flag. And this is what people have to ask themselves. What is the green is standing for? And the blue in our flags. I don't know whether they know it. I know many people may know it, but others would have forgotten. One of the things that is in that flag, and you will see, there is the blue and the green.
Yeah, blue, that is our sky, and green is our environment.
Our environment. So,
agriculture.
Yeah. So we have our Nile, the blue Nile, the blue waters. The Nile, our environment, the green, the red is the blood of our martyrs and our veterans. The black is us. And the white one is peace and tranquility among us. Peace and harmony. Peace for our nation. And we have the star of SPLM, SPLA. But anyway, I'm just talking in a layman language, okay? So people can go to the constitution and read them. But
Yeah, yeah.
the Nile and our environment stand for us, and that's why Sud and the River Nile are very critical. And if we are independent, our independence should not be limited to raising of the plaques. It should also include us managing our own natural resources, us leading the study of the Nile and any projects, having a proper environmental approvals, having a proper public engagement. And we will wind up, Abraham, because it has been a while, we have been an hour or so. But one thing which I was saying, we know there are a scheduled public participation consultative meetings being led in Juba.
Yeah.
What I'm saying and what I'm asking the body that's leading it is this. It should, anything to do with the Nile should not be limited to politics. It has to be science-led, more scientific and objective. We know, I don't think the 2-3 days is meant to do any science work. There's nothing scientific about it. Also, it is good thing the government realized and the government is giving people opportunity to participate. But my appeal is that let it be inclusive and don't let it be limited, because if the issues of the Jonglei Canal and the Sud wetland has to be addressed properly, we have to have a proper scientific study before any decision is made. Because this is not a survey. It's not a matter of the survey. You can run a survey in 2-3 days, but you cannot do a scientific study. And even a mere degree take 3 to 4, 5 years. Leave alone something as complex as the Sud wetland. So I'm appealing and I'm urging the coordinators and the leaders of the forums to be inclusive and make use of the expertise within the nation and outside the nation. South Sudanese diaspora, we myself have said, if we were very critical in determining the independence as we voted, we should also have a say on the issues of national concern, such as the Sud wetland. They are not one generation, they are transgenerational. They will go into generation and generation, and the impact could never be reversed. That is my message. As an independent nation, let's be independent in mind, as Abraham said, but let's be independent in managing our resources. Let's be independent in delivery of services. Let's have a nation that is inclusive, that listens to its people, and that stand with their government. That is my statement for today, and that is what I can say, Abraham. If there is one last word, then we will close the session.
Just what I want to add to what you just said, because I was just avoiding talking about it today.
Okay.
But it seems that time is not enough. Time is so short.
That is starting tomorrow.
Yeah. So I was just, thinking of like, if, as you said, something like anything involving scientific evidence and fact finding cannot even take it cannot even finish in a year.
Yep.
To be sincere, Jack, this consultation should not be even a year. It would be like 2 years. 2 years to 3 years, so that you understand the cycle.
Yep.
If I was listening to our leaders one after one another, they were just saying something that they don't even make sense to a mere citizen, leave alone educated people.
Yep.
And I think they were using the Bush language when they used to say, when they decided it, it is decided.
Mm-hmm.
If I can, just say a few things about what our leaders were saying, that like this canal being dredged by the former colonies and all that, like Arab, British attack. If they were doing right thing, why do we get them away? Why don't we let them stay with us?
True. Mm-hmm.
They shouldn't. If they were doing right, again, if they were doing it and they were successful, Where are the documents of the environment before they dredge it? The environment before and the environment after. Why are they not produced? We need them public so that we can judge whether they were doing right or they were doing wrong.
Yep.
And again, think about how many people were dependent on the river by the time, and how many now. This scientific, these kind of research need to be made.
Absolutely.
And document need to be made available to public so that the public will, scrutinize the thing so that they can be convinced. Yes, this will not affect anything. If I can bring it to you like the Euphrates river.
Yeah, the river Euphrates. Yeah.
Yeah, and
in Iraq and Tigris in Iraq. Yes.
In Iraq.
Mm.
Can they not just look into that? Why do they close their brain? Why do they close their mind? Why are they not open to the world to see what has happened and get experience? Like what other writer was saying about, he wrote about SPLA. Why SPLA was hard to be determined what ideology they are fighting on. It is because John Garang took experience from Anyanya 1.
Yes, he studied Anyanya 1 and you look where Anyanya 1 failed. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So because he was saying like Anyanya 1 was focusing on South only. That was the one thing make them fail. In a leadership while coordination, they were operating independently.
Yep.
Number 3, politicians and the military from the Anyanya were operating independently.
Yep.
So there was a failure in communication, and also direction was made clear to everybody. So that's why everybody was just doing. That's why John Garang was not making it clear whether it is a communist or a mere liberator looking for democracy.
Mm-hmm.
It is the same. We have to apply it. If those failures happen, in Iraq,
yep,
and we have seen it, people dried up.
Yep.
We should learn from that. Number 2. It is Errol C.
Errol C. Yep.
C.
Mm-hmm.
In Uzbekistan.
Yep.
They should know when Soviet Union decided to block rivers going to the lake. Lake dried up, evaporate.
Absolutely.
And the remaining was only salt, because there was no fresh water coming in. So the fish that people were depending on, gone. The water that were depending on, gone. So what left was disease to kick in.
Absolutely. And we will yep, what you are saying, Abraham, is this.
Yeah.
And this is what I want our listeners to. Our concern is that this is environmental issue. And environmental issues as a way of approaching them. First, you need the baseline data. And the baseline data is what you have now. And you have to monitor the environment for many years. It could be 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And that's what has happened to many rivers. They have been monitored. And then after that, you can come confident with enough data and say, this is the system, the ecosystem, this is what we have studied about the fauna, the flora, the bird migration, the animal migration, the patterns of the living organisms, and we touch this system, it will affect that. We don't have that at the moment. Nile has never been studied, is the suit. And this is the lie which people say, that there was never a study done by the Britain or the or Egyptian. It has always been very political. They come the way they came. That's how they always come. And I want to ask our politician, you cannot be a politician and be a scientist at the same time. In many nations, even like Kenya, they have what they call Camry. What they do, and this institute has a well of people with experience, and I'm talking to you on the line, he's one of our environmentalists as well, but he has worked in community development more, so you understand the impact on the life of the people. Now, what we are saying, that the process is starting tomorrow, Abraham. This is what we are being very cautious, and that's why I'm worried. That forum should not be used as a study. It's not a study.
No.
It is not a study, and we don't know what it's standing for. Because the forum should never be used as if it is a parliament to approve anything. It will be a big mistake, and we are urging the chair and the committee that to be very involving. There was a session held yesterday by University of Juba, and they asked very critical questions that are not yet answered. And those questions could only be answered through research. And they were directing their question to the leaders and people who are making decisions. And that is it, because the public is now awake and aware. And if we are truly independent, then our resources, management, our resources have to be very independent as well. That is...
Yeah, you know, Dr. Aja, we are not against any project, as they used to say it as a project.
Yep.
There are many productive projects that's supposed to be designed and implemented. Okay?
Yep.
One of them is the road network. Second is electricity or power network. It is the internet network. These are very important critical projects that South Sudan needs at the moment. But they are not being worked on.
Yep.
Why are we jumping into something that is going to create more mess?
Absolutely.
And it is going to create lots of jobs. And it will create a conflict. It will give them, it will enhance conflict between communities. Even future communities, they will fight on the little thing that will be left. They will be fighting on it. Why are we not right? Why are we right? So the point to our leaders, as you just say, we need them to be cautious, because there is nothing quick that will come from the dredging of the Nile. If we are talking about veggies coming from Coastie, what are they bringing? Is that what they are going to bring? Will it be enough for everybody? No. And also, we should not be living on illusion. They were now our pound has been devalued because of that illusion. When UN were saying that we will give you some money if you devaluate your currency, so that we give you enough money to pay salaries that are arrears. Money were devaluated and there were no money being paid. So now, can we not learn from that kind of mistake? We're just talking about the few veggies that will come from Coastie. What will they bring? So we cannot be living on such kind of illusion. We need to have an independent mind, not to be pushed or be pulled by hand like kindergarten, kids.
That's it.
That's the more thing that worried me. Why our leaders are being just pulled by hand by the criminals of the, pushing their own people's interests in expenses of our people's interests.
Yep. This is it. There was this article published, and it was published by, and one of our members shared it. One of our Jeremiah didn't share it. It was published by Yale Environmental 360. Dear viewers, the one you are seeing. This was an article published. So I'm sharing it. And one of the things, and it back up our research. You see, in our research, which we did, we had said the Sud wetland itself would generate 2.6 billion a year. Okay, this was very conservative estimate, but look at what the Yale is saying. They are saying it will contribute 3.3 billions. Okay, so not far off from what we have studied from our analysis. So this was by Yale Environmental. They said, let me find the figure here. They said it's $3.3 billion. That is the potential.
Look.
Okay, so we are the FPD Institute. Our institute has estimated, based on the calculation and based on the presentation which I did, we have estimated 2.6 billions. That is the value which South Sudan can reap from the Sud. But Yale 360 Environment estimated 3.3 billion. We are not far off. Ours is based on the African conditions, based on the comparable, not comparable, but equivalent other swarms. Now the question is, now that all the scientific papers are pointing toward the same number, as I'll show here, and I mentioned before, they estimate 1.3 million Mongala gazelles go to the Sud, and our estimate has put it around 1.2, so we are not far off. 1.2 million, and they said 1.3. So our numbers are rhyming. It tells us something is not going through with whoever designing this project. They don't want this information to get out, and that's what we want the public to know. All right? We have to be independent in managing our own resources. We are not saying no to the project. We are saying let's do proper studies. That is our principle. That is the bottom line. We are not saying no to any project. We are saying don't do it now, because if we don't know what it will do, we cannot reverse the impact. We can no longer reverse the impact if we allow it to go ahead.
And that's a very critical point.
Yes.
Like what happened with RLC.
Yep.
It happened before those who designed it died. And
yeah.
They were trying to reverse it, but there was no way. It was already too late.
That's it.
So, and that's what we don't want to see. We don't want to regret.
Yeah.
We need to do things slowly with confidence.
Absolutely.
Not just on assumption.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think we have a good session, Abraham. We will end it here.
Yeah, okay.
But dear viewers, if need be, and if we need to come up during the week, then I will notify. But I think it was a quick session, and to say it, happy Independent Day to South Sudanese. We at FPD Institute wish you a good year as you look forward into the next 12 months of the independence of the nations. We also believe that peace and stability in our nation is the way forward. If we are to make progress as a nation, as South Sudanese, let's have a bit of positivity, let's be hopeful, but let's engage our leaders, let take initiative, let them know that there are things that we cannot allow the foreigners to take lead on. There are things we have to lead as the national, as South Sudanese. Things like the study of the Sud wetland and Jonglei Canal and any other river dredging project. Environmental disasters are never reversed. You can never get back. Once you have done it and you damage it. South Sudan will no longer become a nation if its environment is damaged. It cannot sustain itself after that. And that is the disaster we don't want to see. We want a very objective studies. That is our position. We are not saying no or yes to anything. We said stop, let's study it first. That is our position as FPD Institute.
Okay, Dr. Rajak, I just need to put this across.
Yep, welcome.
The point that I need to put across is, there is something that says in Dinka by Chebar or Root Chebar, which means, when generation gone, it doesn't mean that the nation has gone.
Absolutely.
So what I just need to say is, like, when our leaders are calling the future leaders of the nation criminal because they talk about the national issues, they are taking it wrongly. And they don't even know that these are the people who are going to write the history. The history will not be written by them. Their profiles are not going to be written by them. They are going to be written by those people they are describing as criminals. Again, if you politicians, our leaders, if you love your children and your grandchildren, you better listen to people, because the history that will be written after you will be shaming them. So don't shame your children and your grandchildren, because your history matters much. So please listen to public and put more research out. In anything that you do, you need to allow academicians, you need to allow historians to put more thing into your project, so that you deliver with confidence. Independent Day is about deliverance. You need to deliver and leave us to be celebrating every day. So I need two songs, Dr. Ajak, if you have them. One, that is the Tembe. Let us celebrate. Kuliyum. The first one is the Kong. We are free at last.
Oh, free at last. From Kong. Okay.
Kong.
Okay, I will play them two at the end. Let me start searching them. The thing is that we have been seeing cases where our videos are being limited, because people will go and play pianos and then they will copyright things that are not even theirs. So there is a desperation for quick riches. It is a fever that is catching across Africa. I don't know. There is this fever. People want to get quick riches. And even our gospel musics, people go and copyright them. They will just go and play a piano and they will copyright them. So now I've resorted into creating our own song through artificial intelligence. So the song that people hear before, we create the music artificial intelligence and we play the tune, and because we are not yet right, we are not musicians, but you're right, I will search it, Kembe, and play it. And if it is copyrighted by anybody, then it may impact. But I will have to find out first before I play. Now let the video go, but we'll play them at a later stage. I will share it later on a separate video on our page, if that is fine with you.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because these men, they really sung the songs that are really saying what we have been through.
Yep, what we stood for and what the generation gave their life for and sacrificed for. Okay, that's good. I will find out their status, because South Sudanese, the desperation for wealth is causing problem. It's even constraining the word of God. They put them to where you go and buy them. So it's but folks, this is Kamba FM. We are live every Saturday morning and sometime on Sundays, and we will be coming live every now and then. We have just came this morning to say Happy Independent Day. Happy 9th of July, the Independent Day of South Sudan. July is a very critical month for the people of South Sudan. It is the month at which the Anyanya one started. The 1955 Taurid mutiny started on 18th of July. 1955. The same year is the year we got our independence on the 9th of July. And at the end of the month, the 30th of July, become the Martyrs' Day. So, always watch out for Julys. And all the wars, rebellions, always happen around July and August. Sometimes to September. So you can go a few months up and down. These are critical months. It is the month that we need to pray. Let it reflect. Let it pray for our country. Let be sober. Let approach issues methodically. No rush to project that will ruin the nation. And anything that happens in July would have to be paid attention to. I'm not saying that I know something are coincidence, but it is the month at which crazy thing normally happen in South Sudan. So, happy Independence Day, happy 9th of July, and have a good weekend, friend. And thank you, Abraham, for being with me this morning. And if we need to come back again, depend on what is happening, we should be. The cause for standing up to preserve the suit has not ended. It would only end when we know all those equipment of dredging has stopped. And we are very vigilant. We are here standing for the future and posterity of the generations. So we are standing with the veterans and those who stood against the future, against anything that want to destroy the future of South Sudan. And anyone who is signing things, please think twice, because there are things which the public will not buy into. The public is alert from east to west, north to south of South Sudan. In the center, everyone is very vigilant. And if anyone think that South Sudanese will not have a say, I think they are wrong, because we are asking our government to review its position. And the Ministry of Environment, we appreciate for coming out, but we want a process. Let all the environmental issues should be led by experts, and particularly the Ministry of Environment involved and inclusive. We thank our local institution, Professor John Akesh. We salute your stand on this, and we are looking forward to more future engagement on national issues like this. FED Institute support and stand with those who stand for the right cause, for the benefit and the betterment of our nation. Have a good weekend, friend, and happy Independence Day, 9th of July, 2022. I'm a Jack Duanya Jack, and on the line was Abraham Jonglei, Abraham Jonglei in short. Thank you. Say bye for now.
Bye.
This is Kayamba FM, live from the city of Perth, in Australia, hosting FED Institute. We are an independent forums that look at research, analyze it, sensitize the available information, and bring it to the public with the objective to educate, to inform, to engage as we are doing, and reconnect back to our land. That is our heritage. We look forward to better South Sudan, and we wish everyone a happy Independence Day, 9 July 2022. Goodbye and see you next time. If you want to know more, go to our radio station zeno.fm/Kayamba FM. We'll be launching our own apps, Kayamba FM app, very soon. We are building our apps in collaboration with Duvico Consulting. Most of the data and the research work would always have a backup of expert within our own consultancy. So we have joined hands with FPD Institute and Kayamba FM. Thank you. Bye.